Yo, I'm back. This is the Foul Hooked Whitey coming to you from East Rosebud Studios, not live. As you can see, I'm by myself again, which, is kind of starting to feel pretty good. I'm really pleased at how our podcast is going. I'm not the bragging type. I'm definitely the cocky type, but I'm not the bragging type. And I want to welcome listeners from Kenya, Singapore, and we have a lot of listeners in Great Britain. So I appreciate you folks out there across all the ponds listening in. I really do. So keep it up, because we're going to keep it up. What's happening here? I want to spend this week's podcast talking about making amends. Yeah, I need to reach out to some folks I've pissed off. And the thing is that when I started this, I knew I was going to piss people off, because I'm willing to say some stuff that a lot of fly shop owners aren't, or at least talk about publicly. And over the course of the last couple of weeks, I fired up a couple of dudes or dudettes down, I think, in Wyoming. And I've gotten some correspondence from them that's been, let's face it, I don't mind upsetting people, but I think a couple of these folks I've upset are acquaintances, customers, friends, and I feel a need to let them know really where I'm coming from. And the name of this episode is Secrets. Secrets. And that's a big deal now, because with the explosion of the sport, certainly over the last 10, 15 years, there's a lot of fucking people on the waterways of those of us that have been fishing for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. We see it because we've lived it. The folks that have gotten in the sport in the last, 3, 5, 8, 10 years, what they see as far as traffic on streams, whether it's boat traffic or foot traffic, I mean, that's their life. They get that. But those of us that have been fishing a bit longer, and certainly people that have been fishing way more than me, it's impactful. So as I've kind of posted things or I've talked about things, I've gotten comments on the backside, whether it's a social media message or an email. And basically, people are telling me to back off making specific references. And, I blew up on a guy, 3-4 weeks ago because, I posted, a quick image of a mountain landmark. And this person, was, to me, condescending about, oh, great, you're out in this fishery. And that's really the secrets part of this conversation, because I have to tell everybody out there, including the folks from Wyoming that have reached out to me and been offended by what I've exposed or said, and let them know that if it's floatable, it's not a secret anymore. I'm not saying that, you need, a loudmouth like me fucking dropping a specific reference, but rarely do I say specific rivers. And I don't do that because of the sensitivity from some of our viewership, listenership. And I mean, I fish every week for trout. So, I don't want to see a bunch of fucking boot prints. But I also retail, and I also talk to good people who really are in the sport for the right reason. And, to talk to them about good places to go fish, I mean, what the fuck is wrong with that? I'll say it again. If it's floatable, it's not a secret. In my opinion, you can still keep some wade fishing secrets, yes. And there's a couple of streams I fish half a dozen, 6, 8, 10 times a year. You'd have to cut my balls off before I'd say I'm in this medium. So I get where you're coming from, but I wasn't reaching out to blow up your spots. But most of you folks that have a beef with the exposure of certain fisheries, you live in an extremely small population, of people, which is good. Good for you. I'd fucking take that in 2 seconds. But I live in a city not far from you. And I'm here to tell you, people know about your fisheries. I mean, they do. And most of the smaller communities have a fly shop, an outfitting entity. And, they promote those fisheries that people want, there to be a secret for their fucking livelihood. So, if there's a threat to local waters, I just don't think that like our region, which is the Northern Rockies, you can't go back. And if you've got a couple of fly shops that are pumping out trips on your local waters, they're promoting them online. And, my shop, I'm a retailer. So we work with an outfitter and we do book some trips here. But we do a pittance of volume when it comes to trips. But a lot of the smaller areas in the Montana, Wyoming area, I mean, let's face it, if it's floatable, they're doing business on that fishery now. And the folks that have had a beef with some of the things I've said, damn, I'm definitely not up here advertising anybody to float anything. I'm not. But I'm proud of where I fish. I'm proud of where I get to be. And that isn't a secret anymore. Montana, Wyoming, I mean, people know where to fish here now. A secret to me is, what kind of high heels I like my wife to wear in bed. It isn't a fishery that does 500 to 1,000, 2,000 floats a year as far as guiding professionals. So I'm not in this game to promote my business, really. And that sure as fuck means, promoting any trips. That just isn't going to happen. But for those of you out there that have gotten worked up and anxious about your fisheries, there's not really much you can do about it anymore. Because our way of life in this part of the United States of America has been good. And post-COVID, there's been a lot of people moving into the area. And that right there is going to put people on your waters. Some fly shop dude sitting on a podcast that's got marginal fucking support is not going to blow up your fisheries. So, like I said, I want a truce. I'm not going to be whoring out your shit. But, cease with sending me messages about my content on here because, honestly, if I don't know you, I'm not going to fucking care. If I know you, come talk to me. If you're a customer, an associate, call me. Come talk to me. I'm here. But don't start some bitchy little messenger war with me because I don't have the time for it. And I value a friendship that we've got. So, like I said, secrets really now in fly fishing they've changed. The only secrets that are real anymore as far as locations in fly fishing are fucking hard to get to. That's it. Don't kid yourself that, your medium to, whatever size fishery in Wyoming or Montana is some fucking secret. Secrets are where you get into a fishing access or get into a bridge in the state of Montana and hike and cover water. Those are secrets now. Anything that somebody can put a raft on, anything that somebody can put a drift boat on, like I said, that's just not a secret anymore. Maybe I wish it was, but it just isn't. And I see that manic behavior on my sales floor. I mean, I got dudes that catch lifetime fucking trout on the Yellowstone River. They think it's a fucking secret. They don't even want to tell you it's on the Yellowstone. Even though thousands of people a year fish the Yellowstone River. So a secret should be something special. And I'm not really sure how special fisheries you can float a lot now are. And by special, I don't mean as far as production, as far as catching trout. I mean special as far as really getting you away from the chaos and the fucking handheld devices of life. Because, I mean, that's all I get out of it is I get a rest. I get a mental respite when I fish. I'm certainly not the motherfucker that's got a turtle box blaring out of his fucking drift boat. I'm not that dude. That's for sure. And to a degree, that's what some of our floated fisheries have become. So, is that a secret? It's not a secret anymore. And secrets are going to get tougher and tougher and tougher to keep. So I believe the only secrets in my area now are fisheries you've got to wade fish. That's it. Just because it's not a secret doesn't mean it's not maintaining its quality because people are floating it. You know, just because it's not a secret, I mean, the Missouri River, which might be the premier fishery in the entire state of Montana, that fishery gets, I mean, Jesus Christ, when it comes to fishing, the Missouri gets gangbanged. And the Missouri is still, quality-wise, fish count-wise, the premier fishery in the entire state of Montana. So, before you start blowing up about secrets that, again, are floatable and guidable, a lot of fisheries in our area, in our state, they maintain their quality with a lot of volume. You know, I'm not saying it's as enjoyable of, you know, seeing a drift boat hatch as just being out there alone by yourself. But you don't get that anymore here. You don't. Maybe from October 1 through the end of March, early April, but if you can float it, there's folks here, there's folks where you're at, and there's going to be more. So, like I said, find your secrets and keep them tight. But nowadays, in our region, it's only from wade fishing. That's all I got. Foul Hook Whitey out. See you next week.